Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Mr. WTF, and you guys know him from his own Narcissism channel. And here's his story. Hey, Ollie, got one for your thoughts. I'm going to try something new for me. I've been a victim, all right, but I was also precocious and difficult to like kid. I was also a precocious and a difficult to like kid. I want your thoughts on this. I was always the lily-livered one, the moaner, the complainer, the one who felt everyone was against him, the one who felt life wasn't fair. Well, guess what? I was right. My family are narcissists and everything was against me. But I still wonder, sadly, there are things about me that they are right about, Ollie. First, I have to give you a brief lowdown on my story, even though I am intending to tell this in more detail when we do the Skype session videos we have coming up. This is just to help with what I'm asking you about today. I'm writing this from a place of beginning to recover after a very long and traumatic ordeal looking after my mother, and then having to deal with my narcissistic family after she died, and everyone wanting to divide the estate with little regard for my state of health and prospects now in an extremely weakened state. I mean, proper nervous exhaustion and sleep deprivation. The word depression doesn't cut it. I was emotionally, psychologically, physically, and morally gutted, and they were awful, Ollie. But some good things happened. I met someone, and she was kind and generous, and I formed a terrific relationship with my new partner's young son, which really helped repair a whole lot of damage. There's nothing like love to fix you if you're lucky enough to get it. But right now we're taking time out for various reasons, and I am just trying to heal while it's just me. And the wreckage of the past keeps floating to the surface, and here is a bit of the wreckage that needs what I like to call the full Ollie Matthews treatment. I am not strong enough or smart enough to figure it out, but I think you will have something to say about it. I've been wondering about what I'm made of. I've shown stoical strength in the face of significant adversity. 7 years I looked after my seriously ill mother. She had both mental and physical conditions, and the last half of it was intolerable for a single human being to manage, and I got very sick. I suffered outrageous bullying and manipulation and triangulation in my life while always trying to do the right thing, and it always had been done by people to get me to a place where I whine and complain. I've been poor most of my life because my health made it impossible to work full time, and then I got sick. And then once I got a little better, I was on state support while I looked after my mother. Things are different now, but I will tell you about that when we do the Skype sessions. People have looked down at me and jeered at me my whole life. I fought back by determining to redefine myself using only the thing I'm any good at, my creativity. I try to make it in music, self-teaching myself how to play guitar, piano, to sing, and how to write songs. I'm going to give you a link if you have time to check out my scapegoat punk rock shit. Not because I need you to like it, because I just want you to know I'm not exaggerating or talking up some lame, half-assed bedroom self-delusion. It kind of sounds like a cross between Nirvana, Fugazi, and The Smith. And I was writing about narcissistic abuse and its effects without even knowing that, and that was what it was. Of course, I failed to make a career out of it. Even on the very outer perimeter of the music industry, just being successful on a local level, you are going to be tested. And any undertaking like that, especially if you have any potential, well, you're going to attract a lot of narcissistic attention. Everyone from people who run the bar you want to play at to other musicians is going to have something to say. I met this beautiful, devastatingly talented young woman along the way, a girl from a nearby city. She was busking on a street corner and is the most talented person I ever met as a musician, singer, and songwriter. I got her to come and play an open mic show that I and a friend were running. She turned up and slayed the whole place. She was 16 and out of control gifted and was totally sweet and friendly. I think of the teenage Amy Winehouse, but the music was more like an acoustic trip-hop, Portishead, or Massive Attack kind of vibe. I love Portishead. I didn't see her again for a good few years. The next time I saw her, she remembered me and asked me to set up a gig for her, but already she was different, hoity, snobby, and narcissistic. I remember thinking, what had happened to her to make her like that? It was hard enough for me as a sensitive, damaged guy to keep fending off everyone who wanted to manipulate me. For a beautiful young woman, it must have been hell. It had made her tough and unfeeling, but she still destroyed the room when she played and sang, I gotta tell you. She was awesome. Still is, but not as nice, you know? That's competition. Look, anything creative like that where you're it's competition. And when you're people like that, you know, you need help within your own business industry, but at the same time, you're also competing against that someone. And for someone who has no self-esteem since they were a child, who basically calls themselves lily-livered, you know, competition isn't your thing. And, you know, you dealt with it more by which you call is whining and kind of bitching about how unfair it was. I was a little different. I dealt with it by being a blank slate. You don't whine about anything. Yeah, it was unfair, and I knew everything was unfair. But whining about it only made it worse because it got you nowhere. I don't know if it is that you are difficult to like, Paul, as you're just kids, especially boys, are confrontational or competitive. And if your parents stole when the narcissist takes your competitive edge from you, you're fucked. Especially if you're trying to do something creative where your creativity you're hoping is better than some of the next creators. It's all competition. If you don't have a competitive edge, you're never going to succeed. So it's a fucking bullpen, the world of live music. It's not really for a complex post-traumatic stress sufferer escaping from narcissism. Yeah, because if you can't compete, you know, in order to compete, you have to believe. In order to believe, you have to have confidence and self-esteem, and that's a very difficult thing to do. But I had to hope I could catapult myself out of my fucking horrible existence. Along the way, I fitted in college and living with other people, but I kept having to go home because I wasn't financially buoyant enough to secure a life. My health was so poor and I didn't realize, but I was making myself worse with stress, desperately going after my dreams, or should that be emergency escape plan. I was useless at everything. I was useless at everything but this. I had no practical skills. My dyslexia made it hard for me to learn shit. My concentration was shot to hell. I was a nervous wreck. It looked like I was idly drifting through life on a part-time wage while playing at being a rock star. But nothing could be further from the truth. I was desperately mentally ill, suffering from excruciating levels of anxiety and chronic fatigue. But all attempts to reach out for understanding were met with, well, we all get tired, mate. And I didn't meet one doctor who was able to figure out what was wrong or could see how much pain I was in. In fact, one told me it was because I was drinking too much. Of course, I didn't understand any of it myself. I thought I was weak. I agreed that I should be able to do more. I blamed myself for being a useless shit who couldn't make a go of anything. It's kind of hard to make a go of anything when your parents crush any competitive edge you have and turn you into a constant victim. In the meantime, I wrote songs, I ran my band, I networked with other bands, I was a main player in resuscitating the local music scene. I organized I organized big day out events in London where several of us bands would take a coach load of our supporters to London to showcase our music in the city. But man, I was just desperate to make something happen before it was too late, and I just fell apart. What I needed was to stop. I was sick. But if I stopped then, I would have been locked in with the narcissist. And besides, no one would support me in that I was ill, least of all me. I was my own worst enemy, blaming myself for my shortcomings and expecting myself to leap mountains. What a stupid ass. You were climbing the mountain. So you're out there, and here's the thing, you don't even realize you're climbing the mountain when you're doing it. That was your escape plan, organizing and hustling with other bands. Listen, plenty of people try to make it in the music industry and don't necessarily make it as far as you did. You think you're a failure. You think you're running back for this independence when hustling on the street would have been gaining you your independence. You were climbing the mountain. You don't need to leap mountains, but you sure as hell were climbing the mountain and didn't realize it. What a stupid ass. I was dreadfully ill and nobody was going to give me a break. Neither was I. I am very fortunate that when my health finally collapsed, I had met a truly decent woman who understood something was wrong and let me move in with her and get better. Since then, I seem to have been able to piece together, even though it's not been easy. When me and her eventually broke up, I went to look after my mother. It had become clear someone should be there, and I didn't trust my sociopathic siblings to do it, even if they wanted to have anything to do with her, which they fucking didn't. My covert narc dad had abandoned my poor enabler mother and somehow made it all about how it was tough on him, and continued to do so before, during, and after I had looked after her, no matter how hard it was on me or how little it impacted on him. So where am I going with this? I was a pain-in-the-ass kid, precocious, attention-seeking, physically weak. I had asthma, emotionally volatile. I was a product of desperation. I have been told that asthma is a reaction to withheld emotions, usually love, and I am assuming that that is when emotion is being withheld from you, and maybe also you withholding emotions yourself, like how do you feel the feelings you want to when they don't make any sense? How can you feel love for your family when they keep hurting and shaming you? Or feel resentment for someone in your family when everyone tells you you are the one that's at fault? I've also recently heard from an expert in this field that said, guess what? Asthma is actually a manifestation of a problem in the stomach. And what do all emotions affect? The fucking stomach. I also have a very severe irritable bowel syndrome, which caused a lot of bleeding. But I have been able to radically improve this by adopting the Combining Foods for Health diet created by Dr. Hay, which has pretty much cured me. You have to stick to the basic isolating of either protein or starch-based meals every 4 hours. It's a discipline, but it works, and it's healthy for you. But back to the story. Ollie, there's a tendency in this community for people to let their own indignation and their victimhood blind themselves to any discussion about their own faults. And that is understandable. And sure, some people have had it 100% bad and have never done anything bad themselves. But I'm going to stand up and say I was not an easy child. I was not easy to love as a child. I was attention-seeking and precocious. I had self-aggrandizing ideas of my own importance. I was outraged when people bullied me. I was always talking too much and usually talking shit. I thought my opinions were important because I had thought of them, and I thought people should listen to me. I was ridiculous and sanctimonious, but who taught you to be that way? Sounds like you were just emulating your father. It's still bad parenting. It's still not your fault. as a child to be that grandiose is not normal. You learned it from somewhere. I did wake up to it about 13 years old, and that was probably the beginning of my journey to self-awareness. I just realized nobody liked me. In fact, I was an object of ridicule, and I had brought it on myself. What I want to ask you, Ali, is how much of me being a little prick was down to me stiflingly self-important, and over-domineering covert narc father, and how much did I fail to be a lovable child, perpetually sick, intermittently obnoxious, and self-entitled, out of human frailty and vanity? Did I reflect my father's covert narcissism? Oh, yeah, that's not you. You don't blame the child. There's a reason why you're just mirroring what you learned. Oh, by the way, my siblings are stuck up and superior, though, of course. They see themselves as completely reasonable as me, and me as an emotional hysteric. I gotta balance the critique of me as an unpleasant child with this, though. I got sick a lot and played on my own a lot. I was happy playing on my own with toys, and I read a lot. My dad would get a narc fit and enter the room in a rage and empty the litter basket like he was the only person that ever did anything around here. I was just a kid, 5 going on 9. These unannounced invasions would flood me with anxiety and self-reproach. My younger sister was the golden child, despite not having a lot of evident positive characteristics I could see. But my father had issues with his mother not loving him, and he was one of 2 boys, so it was a gender thing. She resented me from very early on and would hit and bite me without provocation. The twisted evil seemed to drip down from my father to me without any consolation. I was the piece of shit, and the more they squeezed, the more I became a pain in the ass. Any thoughts? I really hope you can give me some feedback on this lesser traveled road in the community. We're not always these untarnished victims. Some I don't doubt are. I'm not saying everyone was like me. For me to heal, I have to work through this a bit. I have to face my part in this fucking fiasco. Let me know what you think. P.S. I'm aware I'm putting off our Skype session, but please bear with me. I'm just not quite well enough, but I really look forward to it, and we will be in touch soon, Mr. WTF. Now, there's an addition to this. Because Mr. WTF, I think he sent me 7 or 8 emails. So this is the constant pain in the ass thing he's talking. I'm not calling you a pain in the ass, Phil, even though it's kind of pain in the ass thing you're doing. You got to break this cycle. You got to break it. Hey, Ali, I'm sorry for all the back and forth with this story. I had problems managing my text on my phone. And you shouldn't be doing these on your phone to begin with. You shouldn't be doing these on your phone. I'm not using my PC at the moment. It's become frustrating to use. It's one of the reasons I haven't set up the Skype call. This is you just putting off things, Paul. I've been thinking about the story I sent you, which I think is quite heavy and sees me asking myself some difficult questions. I've come up with one answer, and it might be of use to you when responding to the icky stuff in my missive about me being a difficult child to love. But all I'm asking if I didn't make the narcissist be repelled by me. Well, it's not as simple as that, is it? It's more that my role as a pain in the ass was well defined for me, and that's what I had to be because anything else didn't fit in with the narcissist's agenda. And when I wasn't being a pain in the ass, like the example I gave of when I was playing quietly on my own, that was turned into being a pain in the ass anyway. Exactly. What do you think all these channels are about, Paul? What do you think? We all don't play these scenarios in our head? Like it's my fault? That's what it's all about, Paul. Then we look at the poor social skills I had caused me to be bullied and victimized. It's real simple. Narcissistic parents don't raise you. They just don't raise you. They abuse you. So what's left for you, whatever shattered or swollen ego you got left to work with, you make the best of it. And it's not always very good. That's what putting it in writing to you gave me. Exactly. Because as you're writing this down, blaming yourself, and you keep looking at it, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm a child. We're all on YouTube doing this because we blamed ourselves, Paul. All of us. You gotta stop. You gotta stop blaming yourself, and you gotta stop emulating the fucking behavior over and over and over again. Being a pain in the ass isn't gonna get you the attention you want. I've been feeling bad because it's a heavy email and I ask a difficult question, and I'm absolutely looking forward to hearing anything you have to say on this, man. But I'm worried it was a dismal and disparaging question I raised. But I had to put myself on the stand and make sure that what they said I was. I wasn't what I said I was. And anyway, maybe I was sometimes, but what choice did I have? And what was I? 8, 9, 10 years old? Fuck, man. Exactly. Exactly. You're blaming a child. Just because we can remember being a child, that's a child brain. Okay, we weren't having rational adult thoughts as a child just because we can remember what happened. How old was the narc? 30, 35, and always getting into it like you're a contemporary of theirs, like you're their competitive sibling, not their child. All I got to do is think about my relationship with my recent partner's little boy, who taught me how to feel love and being loved unconditionally. He's a terrific kid, and think how insane it would be to do to him what was done to me or to you, Ollie, any of us. Insane. Insane to want to. So yeah, I was a precious kid. I was a precocious kid. But was it that or expire? It was that or expire and go under. I was foolish, but at least I was something. And it's not like I was being raised. Hope you don't mind me adding to your workload in this email, Ollie. It's the end of the month and I can't free up money easily until the last week, but I will bump up my contribution starting next month. And if you wanted to read it out, an addendum, the main part of the story, could make this a bona fide submission, and that's okay. Sorry it's been untidy with this submission. I'm really glad I could air this difficult issue on your channel. Any comments you have would be greatly appreciated. You worked them out yourself, Paul. You worked them out yourself. It's why just writing out these stories and sending them in to me helps. You know, this is more of why channels like mine and even yours succeed, Paul. Because in your writing this all out, you realize how ridiculous it really is to blame yourself. That's what you realize. I mean, that's really the overall. As you work this out and you think you're 10, and this is what I'm trying to tell you, you're going to have these thoughts every single day that somehow this is all my fault. And then you can then work it backwards. Say, oh, wait a minute, this happened and that happened. And it gets easier to get back to the point where, no, this is not. I was doing what I was taught. I wasn't raised. I just survived. You're not raised by narcissists. You just survive them. Period. Thank you for your contribution, Paul, Mr. WTF. And thank you for your story. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comments section below. And if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who can't afford one and needs help, or you just want to see the channel grow and sponsor me in general for equipment, new programs, help keep the lights on, the rent paid, and keep the whole thing going, because this channel is sponsored 100% by contributions from you. You know what to do with the PayPal and email link in the description box. And if you're still unclear, wait for the instructional video link to pop up on the screen at the end of this video to walk you through all of that. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel and click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.